Alrighty guys, as he brings us into the Dragon Ball Legends ToP walk. Oh, it's going to be a guide video actually. So this is going to be regarding season 45, right? So giving you guys a little bit of recap of what happened last season for season 44. We ended off on, I don't know. I don't know if this is some kind of visual bug. I don't know if anyone else got this right here, but I do know that we did get a top cut, right? So that's pretty good, right? Meaning that we did indeed secure that juicy 1000cc. So either way, we're now going to be hopping into this. There will be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get to where you need to go. So the first thing we will be talking about is our pathing, right? So it's going to be as follows, as you guys see on the screen right here, right? It's honestly, this is very loosely based, right? The tips and tricks do go based off of this initial path right here, but pretty much the circled fights are what you got to worry about. If you guys are just hovering around those circled fights, I think you guys are going to be fine, because you guys even see in the actual walkthrough videos that I make, depending on how much points I need, depending on how healthy my characters are, I kind of deviate just a little bit. But this is I would say it's a pretty safe path. There is a couple fights where you have to fight more than one Legends limited unit, which can be a bit difficult, and I believe there is an Ultra Gogeta fight and an Ultra Vegeta fight, and we will talk about those. Okay, so the first fight we're going to be talking about is this one, where it does have Purple Bojack in it, so that's the focus. Purple Bojack will super you towards the end of turn 2. He has low key restore speed. Be careful of him. Also, Super Saiyan 3 Goku does have a blast card counter, so I do usually go for him last. So this one's a new stage that we are going to be taking on. It actually appears 3 times in our pathing. So this stage does look a little bit difficult, and we need high key restore speed here, right? So we will be using the free-to-play Red 21, who has an amazingly high key restore speed. So we should be good, right? But that's not everyone's going to be using Regeneration. Not everyone's going to be using androids or just in general that Red free-to-play 21. But our strategy here will be killing the Kid Gohan first, and then the Goten, right? Because Goten gets his super attack at the start of turn 2, but Kid Gohan will get his super if any of his allies die. Your key restore speed needs to be higher than 2570 to attack before the Goten does. Make sure to raise your friendship rank, since it directly increases your overall stats in ToP. You can do that easily by farming up the daily stages from the Let's Fight event. So we have this, there's a couple fights in here that do consist of both the MUI and Beerus, right? So Beerus does stun at turn 2, so you do see me target him first usually, right? As long as Kid Gohan's not a part of that equation. And then MUI and Bergamo, they both can mitigate one attack, so I'll usually save at least one of them for last. If you have a super attack, obviously their dodge or their barrier does not affect it. I'm pretty sure, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section down below. I'm pretty sure, or I think Bergamo can actually mitigate a blast-based super attack, but I would have to actually go in there and find out. I don't really have like that data on me. So we do have the Ultra Gogeta fight right here. Whatever you do, do not save Gogeta for last, since he does get 20% to his special move gauge per dead ally, right? Sometimes you do see me target this Gohan here first, because if you can get him before he transforms, he's actually fairly squishy. So we do have this Kaioken and Frieza stage once again. This is a common stage that we do match up against. Kaioken gets a guaranteed super on turn 2. Make sure to kill him first. Frieza will only get his super if attacked with the blast, right? He'll mitigate the blast and get 100% to his special move gauge. You can do 2 things here. You can either target him last and pray to RNG, basically luck, right? That he doesn't proc it, that he doesn't use it on you. Or you can swap all your units to strike strategy, which is the safest option. And what I mean by strike strategy is basically if I click on this Red 21 right here, you can see the blast icon next to her little image, next to her HP right here, right? You click on that blast image, it says choose your attack strategy, you hit strike, and then you hit confirm. Just make sure to swap it back before your next fight. So we do have this Green Gogeta stage. I call it the Green Gogeta stage because he is your top priority right here, right? He will super attack on turn 3 along with the stun, so he's pretty busted, so make sure to kill him first. Janemba, the Red Janemba, has a blast counter, so again, I will usually target these units last, right? Because not only will he counter your blast attack, he will stun you as well. So now you also have this God Key stage with Cooler. Again, Beerus, right? He does stun you at the beginning of turn 2. Whis also has this same effect. So if possible, Try to get them both out on turn 1. If you can do that and then target the Legends limited units, get them out of the way, the last 2 reds will be very easy to take out. We see that combination ahead in the stage 2, which Beerus and Whis, both of those units can stun you. Again, just beware of that combination. Alright, so we do have this Vegito stage. So the only thing about, Ultra Vegito, his kit is absolutely broken, right? He has the counter, every time he gets hit he increases his special move gauge, and every time he gets hit he also applies a debuff to you. And because of that one specifically, the debuff one, I would say to target him last. Everyone else we're kind of a little bit familiar with, right? MUI will have the dodge, the blue boys, and the androids, they have the tag switch mechanic. It's a little bit intimidating, but it's only a 3/5 stage, so I think we can get through it. And lastly, the final boss does have Tapion on it, right? He will reduce your super gauge to 0 on turn 2. This has screwed me over in the past, so just be cautious of it. So Girls is absolutely dominating the leaderboard right now, or more so kind of like a universal survival saga. I have the number 1 player to the right hand side of me, and this is the setup that he's using right here. In terms of your best units, Kale is definitely the glue of this team as a healer and a support unit, right? If you don't have Kale for this team, I probably don't recommend using this team. But if you are planning on running this team, I probably would, and you're not trying to get for the number 1 ranking or anything like that, right? Because this is a very heavy Z tier team. You have a lot of wiggle room here to swap out some of these units for some S tiers, for some A tiers, right? So I would say, personally, I would go all the way into A tier, and I would pick up this red 18 right here. Right, because not only does she still fit Girls, does she buff Girls right here, she provides debuffs to the enemy team, and she has an indiscriminate heal for allies in range. At the end of each turn, restores health by 3%. That's a great amount, right? She's an amazing healer. But honestly, Girls just has a lot of options to choose from Z tier specifically, but I do imagine that it's going to be hard to keep them up all the way through unless you have everyone completely 14 starred, or at least just in the red star range. Next, we have a Super Warriors team that looks fundamentally solid. You do have 2 healers here with this EX Yellow Piccolo, right? You can tell those glowing spaces are the spaces in which he's going to be buffing specifically. Those are the units that he's going to be healing. And you also have this green Goku right here, right? This EX green Goku, he's going to be healing those 2 tiles right there, his own tile and then the tiles to the left and to the right of him. So you have 2 healers here, and that's basically the core of your team. You also have this purple Zenkai Krillin who will stun right upon turn 1, and then this Tien is also pretty good, I would say. I think this Tien is actually very solid. He has like means to build up super attacks, right? 15% to special move gauge at the start of the 3rd turn. He heals himself and stuff like that. I'm pretty much only concerned with damage here, right? But everything else looks okay. Alright, so next team we are going to be talking about is GT. So on the right hand side of me, we do have the rank 76 player, and he's created a very good team right here, right? So let's just go into it real quick. This baby Vegeta, he buffs that top row right there, right? You can see by the way that they're glowing. We can even see in his kit right here, he is going to be buffing himself in that top row. And not only that, but this Rildo, he buffs the other 2, right? He buffs diagonals, right, to the top left and to the top right, right there. We can go into his kit and see he's buffing their strike damage, right? And he also heals himself, which is very good. This guy over here, he does have a buff for the entire board as well. This Sin Shinron, he's very tanky, and he does provide debuffs for one specific enemy. And even even this red GT Goku right here. So not only is he Zenkai buffing that red Rildo, kind of like giving him the Zenkai buff stats and stuff like that, but he also has this very nice ability where he gets 50% to his special move gauge at the start of the 1st turn. So you will be seeing him super attack every other fight. And even if you do sub in this green Trunks right here, he also buffs the entire board. It's for blast damage, but that's still okay. It's still nice, right? I don't like this part of his kit where if defeated, you don't want him to die. But either way, him buffing the entire board, really good. The only thing I would change here is just, if I'm running GT, if I'm running Regeneration, I'm bringing in Super Baby 2. Like, on God, we're bringing in Super, he's like the best healer in the game, especially if you have him Zenkai, like, it's almost like a no-brainer right there. And just to play it safe right there, right? You're essentially guaranteeing your survival almost by bringing him in. Almost guaranteeing it. I don't want you guys to bring in Super Baby 2 and then all your units die and then you guys blame me, but he's really damn good. So next we have androids, right? They're staying in the game with this team, and a lot of these guys are very old units, so I think you guys will be having a decent time building this team, right? Minus the Zenkais, I suppose. I think that's the most difficult part about this team, is getting the Zenkais, right? But either way, those Zenkais are free to play, and you can build up on them within the Zenkai Rush, within the USTR. I do have to say though, if you do plan on running the Android 16, he has to be a Zenkai 7, otherwise he just absolutely gets melted. Other than that, he pairs with Red 18 very nicely. Again, Red 18 being your healer right here, right? You can see right here she heals the top left and the top right, and the way that the 16 works is that he covers your bottom left diagonal or your bottom right diagonal, right? Because of his positioning right here, he's strictly going to be cover changing for that Red 18, protecting her. The biggest difference between my team and the team that you see on the right hand side is that I would be okay with running triple reds right here. Overall, the Androids has a lot of secondary options that you can possibly use. If you wanted to bring in 2 healers, you could actually do that too, right? Because this Gamma 2 right here, he does restore health of allies in range by 2%, right? And he is an Android. Not only that, he also gets 50% to his own special move gauge, so you can farm the super attacks here as well. But lastly, we have Regen. I actually could not find a Regen team on the leaderboard at the time of recording within the top 1000, at least unless I'm just blind. But I think this is what we will be using right here, right? So we do have Purple Cell from Z tier, right? We do have the green Cell and the yellow healing EX Piccolo from S tier, and then the rest from A, B, and C tier. So we do have a total of 3 healers, right? Fat Boo, Baby 2, and the Piccolo. And we also have 2 very strong blue units right here. This Bootanks will super attack every single fight if we have him in every single fight. And then this guy, he builds up his super attack pretty quickly, right? He does have the ability where he gets 20% to special move gauge at the start of battle. But the best part about this team is that I'm going to have high key restore speed throughout, right? This Piccolo, you can see right here, he does have 2,664. This red free to play 21, 2,644. The Cell 2,684. The Bootanks, he has a high. These guys are pretty solid, is what I'm saying right here. This does have to do a lot with the fact that I have their friendship ranks built up right here, right? This guy's at friendship rank 10. This Fat Boo, he's at friendship rank 10, right? So that's very important here. I'm pretty sure my Red 21 is also at friendship rank 10. Yeah, so that's this is what you want. This is optimal. I'm very confident in this team being able to attain that juicy 1000cc. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the new characters. We are first going to be looking at the newly released Android 17. So let's take a look at some of his ToP stats at max level. So at friendship rank 1, he has a key restore speed of 2,376. That's really low. He does have the blue card and the ultimate right here. Whoa, okay, so he buffs a lot of tiles right here. So start at the battle, 85% to own damage inflicted, minus 20% to own damage received. He has the buff effect, nullifies attribute downgrades twice to allies in range, applies buff effect, nullifies abnormal conditions once to allies in range, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade minus 15% to damage inflicted for 1 turn. So already he's great. He's a very good support unit right here. And at the start of the turn, if own health is 50% or below, plus 5% to special move gauge, I think that's kind of weak, honestly. He should just get that without any health restriction. At the end of the turn, own health is 50% or below. Activate special action here. So special action, 30% to damage inflicted, plus 25% to key recovery, and upgrades your special move arts. Again, the health restriction is kind of a cuck right there. So before receiving a blast arts attack, health is 30% or lower, he performs a cover change and nullifies the attack. Again, the cover changes are alright, but because there's such like a massive like health restriction on them, it kind of like, it's not the most valuable thing in the world, right? At the start of the third turn, own health is 50% or higher, self minus 20% to damage received for 1 turn, and applies the buff effect. Enemies focus on this character for 1 turn. So at the start of the third turn, he's going to just take all the damage. So when we fight against this guy, we're going to take him out before the third turn, basically is what that's saying. At the start of the third turn, own health is 50% or below. Multi-target restores own health by 5% and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade minus 15% to damage inflicted. After receiving an attack to self, plus 10% to damage inflicted and plus 10% to special move gauge. So this guy's going to be a really, I feel like he's way worse off as an enemy. He's going to be absolutely awful to fight against. But on your own team, I don't think he's like the best unit in the world. This first part, he started off really strong and then considerably like fell off during all this extra stuff. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the EX Yellow Android 18. She is a support type, so let's take a look at her ToP stats, max stats. Key restore speed 2,376, again on the lower side of things right here. That's not considering Friendship Rank. Only has one ToP ability because she is not Zenkai or not a sparking unit. Before receiving an attack, health is 50% or lower. Allies in range performs a coverage. So, honestly, that's more reasonable. 50% or lower is more reasonable than 30% or lower, so that's fine. The start of the battle, 60% to damage inflicted, minus 20% to damage received, and at the start of the first turn, plus 15% to damage inflicted by tag universe rep or androids in range right here. It's alright. And inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade, minus 15% to strike damage inflicted for 2 turns. That's pretty good too. And at the start of the third turn, ally tag universe rep or tag android in range restores health by 2% and 50% of damage. Okay, so she's a healer. That automatically makes her good in my book, right? Even though it's a one-time heal for 2%, it's a lower amount. I think that's pretty solid, especially if you get it towards high stars. And they do tend to make the extreme units, they place them into the higher tiers, right? So we might see her get some playtime in ToP. Lastly, let's talk about the Red Bergamo Zenkai right here. So I'm already aware that this guy's just good. Right, he was already good in ToP regardless, but let's go ahead and see if anything really stands out during this change right here. So I do have him at Friendship Rank 5. At Friendship Rank 5, his Key Restore speed is only at 2,379, which is again on the lower side. Blue card, ultimate card right here. Minus 20% to damage received, cannot be cancelled. Right, he is a tank. According to the battle turn, first turn 25% to damage inflicted, second turn plus 40 to key recovery, third turn restores health by 5%, and 25% to damage inflicted. Yeah, he's, I mean, he's really good, right? And obviously he has the bubble shield, kind of, right? Before receiving a strike or blast arts attack, he nullifies it with his green card essentially. And after activating said green card, you get an extra 50% to own strike and blast arts damage inflicted, and you cancel enemy attribute upgrades and buff effects. And after receiving a strike, blast, or special move arts attack, you get an extra 15% to damage inflicted, activates twice, and an extra 15 to key recovery, activates twice. Plus just the fact that he buffs health, I think he's pretty damn good. Alright, so that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding ToP, whether it comes to replacements or anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below, because at the end of the day, we are all aiming for the same goal, right? To obtain that juicy 1000 CC from this game mode that can be definitely mind-numbing at times, right? Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys do leave a like and maybe consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Later!